So yesterday I had the opportunity to prepare the siyum for Tani Bechorot. Now, for those of you who aren't firstborns and haven't had to worry about this before, let me explain this tradition really quickly. So we firstborns, as a way of commemorating the plague of the death of the firstborn children in Egypt, are required to fast on Erev Pesach. But the rabbis recognized just how hard this fast can be because of the other requirements of preparing for Passover. So they made a little halachic loophole, as they are wont to do. So one can break their fast, they submit, if they are celebrating a seudat mitzvah, a meal in celebration of some kind of mitzvah. And so for generations, communities around the world have had a tradition of completing a book of Talmud or some other kind of Jewish text and holding a siyum, or a celebration concluding the study of learning, so that such a meal can take place. And to be honest, this tradition can feel a little burdensome at times. We are busy with a million things in our lives, so taking on additional piece of learning that can take months so that we can eat for an extra 12 hours, well, it's just a lot. But this year, this learning took on a different meaning for me, and I wanted to share some thoughts really briefly this morning. Knowing that I was going to be offering the siyum this year, I started learning the week after my son was born. I figured, foolishly, because I was going to be on a short paternity leave, that when Elior was sleeping, it would give me a little bit of free time to dive in and get some good chunks of text done so that the pre-Passover push wouldn't be so stressful. But that old Yiddish expression, man tracht und Gott lacht, that a person makes plans and God laughs, of course, came to fruition. Elior was in the hospital for almost a week. Meredith had had an emergency C-section and had complications following her surgery for months. And then, when things were finally starting to get back to normal, the world was put into lockdown. Man tracht und Gott lacht. And I think it would have been much easier to throw my hands in the air and to find an excuse to hand off the responsibility to someone else, or maybe to take on a leniency to study something much shorter and maybe in English so that I could be done with this extra bit of responsibility as my world became far more complicated than I had anticipated. But something kept pushing at me to find some time, a pocket of 10 minutes here, a half an hour there, every day since my son was born, to first pray. Became really important to pray first, and then to open the Gemara and allow myself to float in the ancient discourse of our sages of blessed memory. And I did this not as escapism, but quite the opposite, as a way of being completely present and receptive to how life can change in an instant. And I think for the first time in my life, I realized what Torah Lishma, Torah for its own sake, truly meant. It stopped being about preparing for the siyum. It wasn't getting material ready for a class I was teaching, and it wasn't sermon prep. It was just a daily reminder that there is Torah in my life. And I mean Torah outside of just what we think of Torah, Torah that goes beyond text and the study of text. But this reminder of that served as an island of gratitude in a sea of so much that was outside of my control. And that daily reminder helped me and continues to help me remember other things that in my human pettiness I can too often overlook. Gratitude that my family is on a path to healing. Gratitude that we have a family and a synagogue family with such giant and giving hearts. And gratitude to be part of this people called Israel, who have been blessed with perseverance and faith through thousands of years of countless question marks. My learning made me appreciate, to an extent I didn't know possible, that learning itself is symbolic of Judaism. And that this tradition of ours is so exceptional, so beautiful, and so necessary because it, better than any theology or philosophy, understands and anticipates moments of uncertainty, of disorder, of heartache. The Judaism that we know today is a Judaism built on the ruins of the Second Temple. That destruction was tantamount to the end of the Jewish people. But our rabbis, in the midst of an existential state of emergency, chose to find order in chaos and give to every broken heart, every soul pushed into fear and despair, a place to rest and find hope. And so I can't think of any holiday more appropriate for us right now than the holiday of Pesach, a holiday that teaches us that regardless of our present circumstances, whether they feel staggeringly hard and frustrating, or whether maybe on some year different from this year, that things feel remarkably good and easy, that we don't get a pass to skip living the narrative of Egypt, that we are commanded to enter into a state of uncertainty each and every year, and to place ourselves in the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim and the Exodus from Egypt. Not because we need to remember the bitterness of slavery, and not because we need to feel redemption, but because we need to recognize and internalize the great unknowability of life, and in that anxiety, still be able to find peace, comfort, love, and gratitude. And perhaps it's when things are hardest that gratitude feels most profound. And there's no question that it's when things are hardest that we need one another and the wisdom of our Judaism most. Because it is through those connections that we can say, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be together even when we're apart. Thank you for thousands of years of setting our sights to renewal and rebuilding. And thank you for the blessings, great and small, that fill our hearts without limit and offer us hope. Tonight, we are asked to again put ourselves into the Passover story. But let's challenge ourselves to remember the treasures of that narrative as we move into the days, the weeks, the months, and even the years ahead. Because life will continue to be uncertain, not just because of this virus, but because of any number of things that life can throw at us. And our plans will be laughed at over and over again. But our tradition has a prayer for whatever comes, a page of Talmud for whatever comes, a song or melody for whatever comes, and a people who will hold on to all of us and who will never let us go, no matter what. May your Yom Tov be a beautiful reminder of that love and support. May the story of our redemption allow all of the blessings of our lives to shine brighter than ever. And may we always know strength for every time that we have to leave Egypt. Chag Sameach.